Week 14 of the fantasy football season, and here's the top 12 kickers. I'm ranking this week number one, Justin Tucker, Baltimore Ravens. So Justin Tucker, we know he's one of the best kickers of all time. He's got a huge boot. He could kick it pretty much from anywhere on the field, and this Raven team at least gets him 2 or 3 opportunities per week. So this week in a matchup versus the Los Angeles Rams, where I think the opportunities will be there, and Tucker a better kicker at home than he's been on the road this season. I think once again he's a top performer. Number 2, Tyler Bass of the Buffalo Bills. So Tyler Bass, it's been a solid season here for him. And this Buffalo Bill offense the last few weeks is starting to get things going and starting to put more points on the board with new offensive coordinator and just easy opportunities to get in field goal range and make plays. So this week in a game where they know they need to put up points versus Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs team in Arrowhead, I think Tyler Bass once again goes out there and has a nice game. Number 3, Jason Sanders of the Miami Dolphins. So Sanders, the last few weeks, he's had double-digit fantasy points 3 weeks in a row. So Sanders, we know, has a good boot. We know he's on one of the more high-powered offenses, if not the best offense in all pro football. And Jason Sanders, he's been a good kicker throughout his career. So now over the last few weeks where he's getting more opportunities and putting points on the board, and this week in a good matchup versus Tennessee and a defense that is bend but don't break at times, but does give up a lot of fantasy points, especially third most points to kickers on the year. He's a good option this week. Number 4, Brandon Aubrey of the Dallas Cowboys. So Brandon Aubrey, he's been a solid kicker this season in his rookie year. I know he just missed 2 extra points, but he still hasn't missed a field goal. He's been great at home for this Dallas Cowboy team. Indoor game always a plus. In a game where a lot of points are going to be put on the board versus the Philadelphia Eagles in an NFC showdown on Sunday night. So Brandon Aubrey, he's got unlimited range as well. I know the last few weeks he's been pretty much only hitting extra points for the most part, where this Cowboy team success rate in the red zone has definitely been a huge plus compared to where it was early in the season. But this week, he's still a solid kicker and already one of the better kickers in the league. In his rookie year, number 5, Harrison Butker of the Kansas City Chiefs. So his points have definitely dropped off over the last few weeks here for Harrison Butker. It's still one of the better kickers in the league. He hasn't missed a field goal on the year. Going to be a shootout with the Buffalo Bills and a game where he knows he's got to hit these big field goals at the big time. So Buffalo, their defense is bend but don't break for the most part. But I think they're going to give up points in this game, and Harrison Butker is going to get a few opportunities. Number 6, Jake Elliott of the Philadelphia Eagles. So Jake Elliott, obviously on a high-powered offense, one of the best offenses in the league, and he's been an accurate kicker this season. I know the points have dropped off a little bit over the last few weeks, where this Eagle team's offense, their productions has dipped down just a little bit in terms of putting up points. Last week, only 19 points. And even a few weeks ago, they had a struggle versus the Kansas City Chiefs, only putting up 21, even though they won that game. So right here, Jake Elliott's going to get opportunities. He's had a good career at Dallas. Indoor game, always a plus for a kicker. And once again, this week, he's a top 6 option. Number 7, Evan McPherson of the Cincinnati Bengals. So many people thought this Bengal offense couldn't move the football at all or put up fantasy points. But Evan McPherson, a game-winning football on Monday night to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars from 48 yards. So McPherson has a big boot coming off a 13-point fantasy day. And this week, a great matchup versus the Indianapolis Colts that give up the most fantasy points to kickers on the season. So right here, Evan McPherson, clutch kicker, has a big boot. I know he's missed 5 field goals this season, but he's still one of the better kickers in the league, and a guy could put up fantasy points in a hurry. Number 8, Young-Ho Koo of the Atlanta Falcons. So Young-Ho Koo, best kicker of all time in terms of percentage and field goal rate. So this week here, good matchup back at home, and we know Koo's a better kicker in Atlanta than he is on the road versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a defense that gives up a decent amount of fantasy points to kickers on the season. And Young-Ho Koo, if it's within that 40-yard, 50-yard range, he's pretty much automatic. Anything past 50 yards, he has been a little bit shaky throughout his career, but this week versus Tampa Bay, opportunities will be there once again, and he's one of the more consistent kickers of all time. Number 9, Matt Gay of the Indianapolis Colts. So Matt Gay, what an off-season signing it was for this Indianapolis Colts team, and they paid him a big contract, and rightfully so, because Matt Gay's gone out there and he's having one heck of a season. Pretty much you pencil him in 8-9 fantasy points minimum for fantasy owners. So this week in a matchup at Cincinnati, a bend but don't break type of defense where field goal opportunities should be there for Matt Gay, and I don't expect this Indianapolis Colts team to put on the offensive performance like they did in the last week's game, scoring 31 points at the Tennessee Titans. So this week, some of those touchdowns I think are going to be held down to field goals. And once again, Gay will go out there and have a good game. Number 10, Jake Moody of the San Francisco 49ers. So Jake Moody, it's been an up-and-down rookie season for him. 3rd-round pick in the NFL draft last year. But Jake Moody's got a good boot, and he's on one of the more explosive offenses in the league. But the last few weeks, he's pretty much just been limited to extra points because they're finding the end zone at a great rate. Is the San Francisco 49er team. Another game this week where I think they're going to put points up early and often for Seattle, where we just saw them give up a 40-piece to the Dallas Cowboys. So Jake Moody, pretty solid kicker, home game for San Francisco. And even if he's, say, 4 or 5 extra points and 2 or 3 field goals, that's a nice day he could have in this one. Number 11, Cameron Dicker, Los Angeles Chargers. Cameron Dicker, I know the numbers have gone down over the last few weeks, but still this year, he hasn't missed a field goal, and he's still on a high-powered offense. They just slump in the last 2-3 weeks of the year is this Los Angeles Charger team. So Cameron Dicker, he's been money in the bank. Obviously, his home games are indoors, which is always a plus. And this week, a home game versus the Denver Broncos. A defense that's been bend but don't break over the last few weeks. And a defense that gives up top 10 points to kickers on the season. So hopefully Cameron Dicker gets a few more opportunities because, like I said, he's been automatic this season. And the 12th and final kicker I'm rankings, Daniel Carlson of the Las Vegas Raiders. So Daniel Carlson, it's been another decent season here for him. And this Raider team's had trouble finding the end zone over the last 6-7 weeks of the season. So this week a matchup versus Minnesota where I believe this Raider team could move the football and get in the red zone area where Daniel Carlson, we know, is a kicker with unlimited range as well, especially at home. He rarely misses a field goal over there in Vegas. So this week with a good matchup and a potential mini shootout with them and the Vikings. I got him at 12, so that's the top 12 kickers I'm ranking for week 14 of the fantasy football season.